Hey, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Unfiltered and Intentional. This is an impromptu taping, and the reason why we're doing it tonight because we have a very busy weekend. So I wanted to get some content out. I wanted to talk about some topics, and it's like, you know what? Let's do it right now. And of course, this will be posted so you guys can tune in now later or whenever you have the free time to it. But this topic for me is going to be a juicy one, I think, that I wanted to talk about
Indeed.
because we have a lot of different things going on in this world. I mean, first off, before we even get into the topic, I wanted to just reach out. There were a lot of people that lost their lives this last week with the hurricanes. We had celebrities that passed away. We had a lot of different things that happened in the last time that we all kind of came together. So definitely
Yeah.
um, sending prayers to those families that are still in the process of searching and rescuing families that are suffering from that terrible hurricane, Helene, correct? Helene? Yeah.
Me. Yeah.
Um, and definitely sending prayers to those individuals. Anything
Mhm.
before we get into the topics?
Oh my gosh. It has been an eventful, just a small amount of time, and a lot has happened, right? You had the hurricane. We've got, last I checked, it's about 200 lives, give or take.
215 last I checked.
Yeah. And climbing, they're still looking for people. Let's see, the Middle East. Whew,
Oh yeah, that's a big
a
one
whole
too.
different thing. You had the verdicts on the Tyree Nichols federal charges.
Yes, I seen that. Yeah.
That's another one. I feel like if we sat here for the next 30 minutes, we could still keep just naming headlines.
Yeah, it was headline after
Georgia
headline.
chemical plant,
Say that again.
the chemical plant in Georgia.
Yes, yes, that was a big one too, which I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with that, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother show. We have to go back. I was talking to Specs. If you guys followed us from the past, Specs is somebody that still connects with us, and we was like, we have to go ahead and do another prepping show because definitely there's a lot of shit that's going on that you need to be able to prep for. Can't
Mhm.
prep for everything, but definitely what you can, stay ready, get ready. But kind of moving into everything that we got going on, the title of this our conversation was separating the artist from the art, and I thought
Hmm.
that was a very very good title because the cover of the actual flyer that I created is a mass group of celebrities from sports to acting to singing to all that. And a
Hmm.
lot of people didn't even know some of those actors and artists were criminals or have been charged in some shape or form. Um, and I wanted to get the intake and the feel of yourself, Liz, the audience, on how do you separate Robert Kelly from R. Kelly, Sean
Hmm.
Puffy Combs to Love to Diddy to all these different people that we have
Hmm.
idolized, that we have danced to their songs and maybe made love to their music or maybe a celebration or
Yeah,
whatever that
come
is.
on. We made up to the music though. That's where we going.
I'm going to go there because it's unfiltered and intentional. But the reason why I say that is because right now, if I never told you what anybody did and you
Mhm.
were just listening to the music, that song is going to take you back.
It
It's going to take you
is.
back to when you
It
was in high
is.
school. That beat, as soon as the beat drops, you're like, oh
You
yeah,
get your
and it doesn't matter what
moves.
genre.
Yes.
Speaking of genres, what just came out today? A big lawsuit with Garth Brooks. He's a country artist. Today,
Hmm.
news just broke the story: sexual assault and rape charges by accused by the hair and makeup artist. So before we get into all the details of what he did and how you feel about that and blah blah blah, why the media, whatever, whatever, How do you, Liz, separate the art from the artist?
Well, okay, it depends, right? Everything, of course, is always going to be case by case. I think, right? So, you have to know that the artists are human. So people are going to make mistakes. I remember you sent me the picture that you were just talking about. I couldn't get it to God on my phone. I'm having technical difficulties, but it's in some of those people. They've been arrested like once for something that happened. I'm a firm believer that you cannot judge people by their worst day or their worst decision.
Okay.
Um, you know, if it's a one time thing. If it's
Okay.
a lifestyle, a pattern of behavior, if you got a cult type life going on, Diddy, you know, that's not forgivable, right? But if you have somebody that has otherwise done well for themselves, kind of kept their nose mostly clean, the occasional just human mistake, bad relationships, that kind of thing. I'm thinking like Justin Timberlake. I really haven't heard too many bad things about him. He had, a touch and go relationship with Britney Spears back in the day. But other than that, he seems like a fairly decent human being. A couple months ago, he went out, maybe had too much to drink, shouldn't have driven, managed to work his way into a DUI, and he's on his apology tour now. I'm not
Yeah.
sure that I'm going to forever cast Justin Timberlake out of public view, for that. The UI is very serious, and I'm not trying to make light of it at all, but that doesn't seem like a lifestyle.
Okay. So
You,
so from where I'm hearing, what I'm hearing from you
mhm.
is that if the artist has a actual lifestyle of because cutting up, just wilding the fuck out, then you're like, you know what, we're gonna have to put a mute on you, whatever that production that you're doing, from music to art to dance to whatever, whatever. We're gonna just put a hold on you real quick.
Mhm.
And then if you're doing like a one off, something kind of loose, then it's like, okay, I'll still rock with you. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think I'll give you an opportunity. I think I'll give you an opportunity to explain yourself. I'll decide whether or not you're somebody I want to continue to rock with, and I'll go from there. And that's, I guess you're asking about separating the person from the art. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are people that Michael Jackson, who turns off Michael Jackson when he comes on? You
Mm.
know what I mean? And that's a weird one because you could kind of say his lifestyle was a little bit
It was eccentric.
it was a strange, yeah, strange, eccentric. That's a good word. And if you if you couldn't keep up with all of it, for a little while, people were, should we be listening to that? But I am bad, so,
Okay.
so
So
you have that. I guess that juxtaposing those two different things, that's really hard to do.
so for the audience out there listening, I'm very curious to find out, what do you guys do when you know that you have somebody who's in and out of jail or whatever the case may be, and like she said, the lifestyle, a continuous bad behavior, something that's deplorable. Do you still listen? Do you shut it off? Before we start going into how I feel about it, I just wanted to make sure to let you guys know, art is subjective, and that's in any aspect. We both can be hearing something, we both could be looking at something, and we'll have our different opinions on it and how we view it. But also, I have to remember that art is also influenced by a person's characteristics, a person's feelings. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just say right now I'm looking at something or I'm listening at something and I'm like, man, this is so good, this masterpiece. Then I
Yeah.
find out, wait a second, what the fuck was R. Kelly just talking about? Seems like you're ready. Wait, ready for what?
Mm-mm.
What you said? And what's happening? You're so
Right.
this and you're so this and subtle. And wait a second, you come to find out that he's actually not talking about the 32-year-old woman next to him. He's talking about somebody.
The 14, 15-year-old.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So characteristics and personalities and lifestyles do influence one's art. So I just want to keep that in mind while you guys think
Yeah,
about this.
it's funny that you say that because recently, listening to Pandora, and the music is kind of random. It comes on, and kid you not, Cassie comes on. Me and You. That's an old school banger, right?
Hmm.
Who doesn't like that? And all of a sudden, you hear that line. They heard I was good. They want to see if it's true.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, I want to also challenge everybody too. Like I said, I know there's people listening now, but the people that tuning in later, it's very interesting because ever since the whole Diddy thing, I've actually been paying more and more attention to our old school because I have a shirt that says born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, the
Yeah.
90s mania or whatever. And when you listen to the lyrics of a lot of these songs, it's like, what the hell? I mean, it's something really, really, really sickening. And I remember my mom used to be like, what are you listening to this trash? I'm thinking like, yeah, my mom had a point because it was a
Hmm.
lot of things. And then now you hear people talking about all these people were because I mean, at the end of the day, with reference to Diddy, let's just take the underage people to the side. Let's put them to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put all the underage, and I'm gonna also do the sex trafficking. I'm gonna put that to the side. And the reason why I'm gonna put sex trafficking to the side is because I have met so many people in my lifetime. Let's just say right now, Liz is talking to a dude. He wants her to come through. She says, I don't got no money. He's like, girl, I got you. Let me put you in an Uber. Let me fly you out. Technically, that's sex trafficking because she wants to holler at him. He wants to holler at her. And he's paying for that transportation. Now, if a person wants to charge and go from there, that's a different story. But I know a lot of people who have crossed that line in reference to I don't want to say paying for sex, but help facilitating somebody coming through because they couldn't afford.
I think you might be
Well, I'm just saying.
providing a lot of cover.
Well, no. I'm just gonna say let's put it aside just for like 1 second.
Uh-huh.
People are saying that he would orchestrate big orgies. So I'm not talking about the age. Forget about because of course if it's somebody underage, that's completely not right.
Mhm.
But let's take all the illegal stuff out of it. He was doing something that a lot of adults do. They're swinging, they're doing orgies, they're doing this, that, and the third. And even on that part, I do hear people feel uncomfortable that this type of lifestyle was happening. So when you mentioned in that part in regards to Cassie said they want to see if it's good, see if it's good, is it true, that type of thing like that, that's questionable too, just for the simple fact that everybody seemed to be fucking at everybody seemed to be fucking at that time. Like everybody was passing the buck.
I mean, well, there's but with that story, and I mean, I'm sure that there's more truths that still have to come out. And we know that Hollywood, they live a different lifestyle, right? They
Mm-hmm.
can afford to live whatever fantasies and whatever else they might. You can't expect those people to live like you and I live. You know what I mean? It's just a different thing. So taking just the orgies out of it, wasn't the very first thing that came out of that story that he had cameras in every room. So even if you were down to mess around in that setting, were you down to be recorded? Did you sign a release to let anybody record you? Just because you go to a situation doesn't, or you're in a situation doesn't mean that you just give up your rights or that you don't have any more autonomy over yourself and over your body. And even if you're in that situation, so you're in a room with 100 people that are naked, does that mean that all 100 people have a right to touch you? Or do you still have a right to say,
Mm-hmm.
don't touch me?
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know what I mean? Or don't record me, or don't sell that film of me.
I
Or,
really think in reference to Puffy, I think his situation is so, and we're going to be hearing about it every day, every other couple of weeks. This is not a story that's going away or whatever.
Mhm.
Every couple of days is a new developing issue that's coming out of it. But I think in reference to his story, the reason why it's so complex is because there was so many layers. You had the actual physical part. Okay, he's hitting on women, he's battering, he's doing this. Then you're having the aspect of there's drugs and foul play in reference to people getting assaulted. Then you're mixing a whole bunch of people involved because from what I'm hearing, that he had different levels to your party experience. So if you was just there for like from the beginning to before it goes down, all right, you
Mhm.
cool. And then you go home. And then you had like, okay, I'm just into feet. Y'all into feet? All right, I'm gonna be on level 4. And then if you was into the ass play, that was on level 5. And then, like he had like levels to this. But before I get into my crazy stuff, let's go.
We got all kinds of comments, right? And
You
so
know me.
so we have good evening. We have a couple good
Hey.
evenings. So hi Toya, hi Leslie, hi Cash, hi Z, everybody. Thanks for tuning in on such short notice. We
Yeah.
really appreciate you guys riding out with us this Friday night. And so Cash said, I am pretty liberal, but I do feel a responsibility to be prudent about who and what I support with my time and money. That's artists and businesses as well. So appreciate that. And Toya said, funny you say that. I think she's talking about the Cassie song, right? On my drive, I was listening to Aaliyah's Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, and the chorus I've sung numerous times, going down ain't nothing but a thing, made me question, what do they mean?
Wait, time out though. Not until you just said go. I'm like, wait, is that I'm literally questioning. Going down ain't nothing. Wait. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it makes you just stop and think. And I can, and it's funny that she mentioned Aaliyah. I saw somebody wearing an Aaliyah t-shirt the other day, and I'm going to take this whole conversation and flip it on its head completely, right?
Okay.
So you got Aaliyah. How old was Aaliyah when she passed away? Like 21, 22 years old? She's very young.
No, she was. I want to say it was 2001 when she's a couple of months older than me. So
We can look that up real fast. So,
I was,
but the point is, she was very, very young.
21.
Yeah, 21, 22 when she passed.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to that. But yeah, I would say in that range. And for whatever reason,
I'll look at it.
I can't see Aaliyah the way that I used to see her back then. Right? In that I feel that she was a teenage girl that was unprotected and taken advantage of by the adults around her that profited from her until she died. And the fact that people are still profiting from her. You know what I mean? I don't know why. It just kind of made me feel a little So like it's weird because we talk about, can we rock with the artist, but do we also sometimes not provide enough support for the victims? In some way or another. It's Z is shocked. He said he had levels.
So what I mean by levels, of course, I wasn't there. Please, I was not at the Diddy party. But what they're alleging, you got to always throw that out before you're getting sued somewhere. People who have been to the parties, they are stating that because everybody's stating something different, right? So they're saying, when I mean levels, they're saying like whatever you're wanting,
party rooms or.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing though, there are so many places. If you Googled it right now, and it's okay if you're 18 and older and you got a freak in you, hey, if you Google right now and say, hey, I want to go to a swingers club or this and this, they're out there. And whatever you're into, there is a group for you. So if you want to be a voyeur and watch people have intercourse, there's a room there for you. So that's what it seems like he was selling in regards to like, yo, I got these infamous parties. It goes down. Because what happens at parties? I think all of us has went to a party once in our life where you're drinking, and then once the drinking comes, you're laughing. Your hands might even get a little bit loose or something. I didn't mean loose like you're, touching somebody improperly, but just meaning you're a little bit more liberated. And so in his situation, he's having these parties that actually get loose, and you could kind of pick and choose because you may not be into anything. But from what they're saying is he's into it all. And I guess he just kind of had his way and took advantage of course, people in those situations. But I'm not even talking about him per se. I'm talking about the other celebrities, which they said they're going to break the news on. And I kind of felt like there's been rumors, there's been whispers like Jay-Z, Beyonce, Mary J. Blige, doo-doo-doo. I mean, P. Diddy's catalog is huge. He's worked with numerous celebrities, the ones that you love, the ones that you may hate. And it's like, what happens if there is a list of people that you may love and they're on this list of, of doing terrible things or being witnesses? Because if you watched it, and you seen someone
didn't say anything, I feel some kind of way about that too.
Yeah, you're just a part of that,
I've never been a big fan of cancel culture. I feel like, if you don't want to listen to somebody anymore, if you don't rock with somebody anymore, then don't, right? But this notion that you are now going to dedicate time, effort, energy to bringing them down and making sure nobody else listens to them, and I don't think I'm a fan of that. And so, hey, T, because it's tuning in. Hi, T. Nice to have you.
I'm 21. Thank you.
She was 21 years old. And then he said, that really gives a new meaning to there's levels to this shit.
Exactly.
There's levels.
Well, and that's another reason why I really wanted to talk about this conversation, because it's interesting, because sometimes behind the scenes, me and Liz will sit like, yeah, what do you think the topic will be? And we kind of already kind of talked about Puffy, but in this aspect, it just seems like, yeah, we talked about him, but now they're piling shit on.
There's more to talk about.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's not even like, oh yeah, did you hear? Did you hear? He's this freak off, this freak off. No, it's like, oh my God, they might break a list about some singers that you love, some actresses that you love, some politicians that you love. Because to be honest, if you Googled celebrity Oprah Winfrey, did she ever attend some function with Diddy? I mean, I've seen pictures with Trump and Diddy, his whole family with Diddy. They got regular clothes on coming out of a room. Like, who knows what they were doing? So people are making speculations, and I mean, this is getting wild. In reference
to Alex to chime in, he said, "What's the difference between the Diddy parties and the Playboy Mansion outside of the domestic violence?"
Well, it's interesting because they both had domestic violence. I don't know if you read any of those bunnies, their tell-all books. Hugh Hefner, from what one of the bunnies was saying, I forgot her name. She had a reality Kendra, I think her name was. She had a reality TV show. One of the bunnies. She said that they had rules, and if you didn't follow those rules, he put your ass so fast on that grass, and he had all types of, marching orders. He was really, really anal. He was like, they had to watch what they eat and wear only certain clothes.
But the Playboy Mansion was sort of like a brothel. If you're asking me what I think the differences are, I think that the Playboy Mansion was a brothel, or run like a brothel, if you would. They were selling sex, right? The women that worked there weren't necessarily entertainers. They were women that worked there. You know what I mean? And different things. Diddy's parties is him inviting people over.
I think it's the same. They would have parties and fuck. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know. I think that there's a difference. I just think there's a difference.
So you're thinking because of the name Playboy, maybe?
No, I mean, I think it was a brothel. Like, they were mostly sex workers. They were women that in fact sold their bodies. They took off their clothes and performed acts for money.
Oh, so you're saying these women, actual women that live there,
to play with the Playboy bunnies. Like you know what I mean? You were entering an agreement, and that was what that was, right? If you're invited to a party, even if it is an orgy, right? And you don't know that you're being recorded in every room, or that you're going to, because I think a lot of what they're alluding to with these different people that are caught on video is that it was for blackmail purposes, right? So come on over, come have fun. I got a girl for you, or I got the situation for you. You're in this room. You want to go to that room. You got a lot of privacy in there, whatever it is. And then now later down the road, I want to do a deal with you. I want this many millions, and you're like, I don't want to do that. Well, I've got this video of you where you're going to sign. When you're going to sign, you know what I mean? And so that's very different than you going and knowingly participating. You know
what's interesting? Before we get to the next comment, there was a rumor going on that because he wanted to get on his band horse and sue Ciroc, the owners. And it's so funny because they said the owners of Ciroc is BlackRock, and they're like a big conglomerate out there. They own everything basically. They're into all types of stuff with the government and everything. But basically he wanted to go ahead and sue them. And because he was suing them, now they're coming for blood, kind of trying to humble him. Because if you think about this, Diddy didn't just start having parties. Diddy didn't just start fucking women. He didn't just start going places and doing all types of stuff. That video has been out. Somebody released that video, in reference to him and Cassidy getting, assaulted. These things have been going on. I mean, I remember people talking about Diddy parties and how, hot he was from the 90s. There's so many pictures. There's so many this. So this is not all new. Who are these people that kept quiet? That's what my concern is. Who are these hush hush people? Because like you said, the cameras, who was hiding all these videos
right
all these years?
Right.
Yeah, let's go to the comment kind of coming
all
in.
Right. So Cash said, I had an R. Kelly band going for a while, but that was because he was keeping the young girls at his house in real time and the families were fighting for their kids back. So he drew a line. I definitely understand that. They're free now, so he's back on the playlist. I'm dead.
I'll say this. And I listened to a DJ that was like, I play R. Kelly. I don't care. Y'all don't like it, turn it off, whatever, turn to another station. He was like, I don't support Robert Kelly, which I do not. I do not support Robert Kelly, but I do like R. Kelly's music. There are some songs, like the one Seems Like You Ready. I cannot play that song per se. Other songs I
Mm.
can, but that particular song, I'm like, no, because I truly know the meaning of that song. I do not play R. Kelly at all around my kids, though.
Well,
But
it's funny that Cash says that because I have a similar thing going on. I absolutely, positively am a huge, unabashed Buju Banton fan. Right? If you know anything about reggae, like he's the man. He's got all the hits. He's a banger. It comes on, I lose control. I don't know what happened,
okay,
but back in the '90s, he had that one song, "Boom Bye Bye," which was literally about murdering and wiping out like the homosexual population, right?
yeah, that's
If
true.
that's the entire purpose of that anthem. And I mean, Jamaica was, at least at the time, and I'm not sure that they're a whole lot better now, but definitely at the time, they were not friendly. They would just about torture a man if they found out that you were gay, or it was
That's
implied
true.
that you were gay. And he put out an anthem that was playing on all radio stations as loud as possible. Back in the day when people would put speakers in their windows and play it through the neighborhood. I mean, and as you got older, you realized, or as you started really listening to what you were singing and dancing and whining to, you're like, is he calling for the execution of all gay men? And then decades, that was the '90s, right?
Hmm.
Things have changed, times have passed. I don't know that he's ever necessarily put out an apology, so shame on me for saying that. That's my dude and I'm riding with him. But I will say that I think that he's had a change. Now he does music with openly gay people. At least one or two videos that I've seen in the last maybe 3 years, he's got like women kissing and things like that, which is such a departure from where he was. So I think that more so than words, he showed action, that maybe there's some growth there. And yeah, he's on my playlist. I mean, it is what it is. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what? And I'm glad you mentioned that for the simple fact that at the end of the day, you mentioned something maybe about 10 minutes ago about cancel culture,
Hmm.
because our culture is toxic. American culture is
Hmm.
toxic.
Hmm.
There's so much misogyny, sexism. I mean, you can think of any genre, anywhere. I mean, you can look at Disney cartoons right now, and in certain old school Disney cartoons, there'll be a disclaimer. There may be a trigger warning, blah, blah, blah. Please,
Hmm.
for your own safety, talk to your kids about whatever, whatever. If you look at our past, think about something as simple as we've had that conversation about canceling culture. The Jeffersons and Archie Bunker, they would say
Hmm.
honky cracker, all types of things that you would never ever be able to get
Never
away
say
from.
now. Right.
And but it's interesting though, because I'm seeing a pattern of videos, because we had camcorders in the 90s and the 80s, and other things, tape,
Hmm.
where we can actually see stuff, even when Trump grab them by the pussy and da, 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 da. But I remember saying, well, that's locker room talk. Men talk like that. And I have heard men say that plenty of times in the past about, I mean, not per se a politician saying it, but I have heard men say that. I've
I've
heard men
never
say
in my life heard anybody talk about grabbing a woman by her pussy.
that.
That's just not a thing.
I have, I have, I have, I have. No, no, no. I've heard older men be very raunchy.
You could be raunchy, but grabbing somebody and drawing them to you by their pussy is a bit.
No, no, no. I'm just saying what I have. Like, but my
Spicy.
whole point is these people are not my per se my age group, but they were older. If you think about our past, our generation's past is very, very toxic. And do
Mhm.
we pull all those things out from the past and say, hey, because if that's the case, I wonder what y'all was doing in the past. There's some video or something y'all was doing. What's the video that came on Hulu? Freaknik. You see all types of men grabbing ass. Women's are walking past. And then you have women jumping on car. I mean, who are these mommies and aunties right now? Where are they? Did you see the Freaknik videos on Hulu?
I mean, you had the girls gone wild shit, and you had all kinds of stuff. But
But if
like,
those, but if you would think about it, there were some women who did not want to be touched. I remember walking through a crowd and a whole group of 20 guys untouched me. I don't know who it was, but I got some hands broke. Am I going to go back and be like, you, I want your job? I mean, I mean, I wouldn't.
That
Okay.
I don't know. That one to me is
Okay.
different. Not just because I hate that man, but just cause.
Okay.
All right. So I also said if you were drugged and raped, that's a difference. But I'm sure it took place at the Playboy Mansion as well. Not to throw the black card into this, but it's hard not to give it a thought. So I get that. And as you were saying, the word I'm looking for is consent. So yes, that's exactly it. It's consent. If you're willingly participating, or I mean, some people want to be recorded. That's the thing. That's an entire industry, actually. You know what I mean? And it's fine if there's consent. But if there's not consent, if you're secretly recording, if you got hidden cameras everywhere, I know we're talking about celebrities right now, but I don't know if you saw this in the news. They're saying like Airbnbs. Did you see that,
Oh,
Kim?
yes.
They've got cameras everywhere in everything, in the alarm clocks and the lamps and the soap dish in the shower and the everything. Like just because I went to your Airbnb does not mean I wanted to be recorded. And just because you recorded me, you can't just release that to whoever you want to. Like that sounds crazy.
It's true, but I guess because it was in the military, I know that nothing is private. If I really want to be in your business, if I really want to find out what's going on, we're going to go ahead and find out what's going on. And because I have that mindset, I understand we live in a free society and that ain't shit free. Ain't nothing private. I mean, but that's how I've always came up ever since being in the military and knowing that if they wanted to tune into whatever you're going to do, they could tap into anything and find out. So when it comes to that, I'm like, y'all just going to see some ass walking around
I
here
mean, I
because at
don't
the
know. I feel like if I invited my friends to my house, they can. There's a reasonable expectation that what
I
happens
mean,
if
that's
they
you. I'm talking about. I mean, I no, no, no. I'm just saying. I'm never under the delusion that, oh yeah, just because I'm at somebody's, like if I'm at your house, I trust you. So no, I don't think that you got some freak in you and you're like over here, watching me in the bathroom. But let's just say I go over a friend's house. I don't know them, and because of that, I'm just always under the idea that something might be possible. I'm never always just like just kind of open, like, oh yeah, you're not hiding nothing, whatever, whatever. Are
I
you?
mean, I don't know. I feel like if you're on the street, you understand, like literally out on the street, that there's cameras everywhere. You know what I mean? And fine. I think that if you're in the military and you're on a base, it's reasonable to understand that you're under some level of surveillance. Fine. Airports, things like that, I get it. But Diddy is having parties that he's inviting his friends to,
They're not his friends. They just,
or
I don't know. I just feel like
I
that's
just
all that fake shit.
if you go into a room and I don't know, I'm pretty
Like
sure
I
that
wouldn't be. I
something
feel
to
like
do.
this. Like at the end of the day, if I'm coming over his house, I'm sorry to be vulgar, guys, but if I'm coming over his house to fuck, I'm expecting like everybody's gonna be like peeking and like why would I be fucking at your house? Like
I
what the
know
hell is
peeking, but
this?
not reporting.
No, I mean, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be fucking at his house. Like I
I
wouldn't
mean,
go.
I agree.
I
I'm
wouldn't be
not
getting dressed up like,
disagreeing with
oh girl,
you.
I'm about to
I'm just
fucking
saying,
video.
like, we
What?
cannot take bleach and try to clean the situation up.
I'm not.
It's
I'm just saying
nasty
I
and it's
wouldn't fucking
messy
Diddy's
and yuck.
house.
You know, and,
I'm just saying the person that I am. I've been to. I promise you. I'm telling the
mhm.
world. Telling the world. I promise you. I've been to many parties and people are doing their thing, and I'm just like, oh, I'm good. Now I may have a story to listen. I may have a story to tell, but I'm not gonna be in that story because you're not catching me. My ass all out and stuff. I'm like, not catching me.
Kia,
Not this
behave,
girl.
behave, Kia, behave.
I'm just more discreet. Like whatever I'm gonna do, I'm like, all right, whatever, whatever. But go ahead, go ahead.
So Cash said the video shifted things from being seen as a billionaire playboy behavior to criminal menace. And then Alistair was chiming in that we had cigarettes on Bugs Bunny, guns, and so much more. So weird that we have all these sensitive people, but we have the most toxic person running for the Oval Office. Grab that pussy. I'm done. I'm done with Alistair. Cross that comment out. I'm done. Insane. How do we go from Bugs Bunny to grabbing pussies in one sentence?
I mean, that's the culture.
Yeah, what is he drinking? I don't know. Cash said times have definitely changed. R. Kelly and Diddy didn't just change with the times. Snoop and Dre aren't still talking about slapping women. Eminem just did an album killing Slim Shady. Eminem's a grandpa, by the way.
Really? I'm looking for that.
Yeah, well, she's pregnant. Haley's pregnant. Little baby Haley that he used to rap about.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
We got nose.
But no, no, no. All jokes aside, you make a good point, Cash. At the end of the day, they have like you, and you even mentioned Buju, that it's not that he's over here and when he's on concert he's like, okay, let's play that song, boom ba ba. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not doing it. You
No.
know, while it seems like Kelly and Diddy are still promoting and acting as if, you know, this we're back in the 90s and they're still trying to I mean, if I was in the 90s doing all types of foul shit the way that they were cutting up, I would be squeaky clean. I mean, you hear how quiet Jay-Z is? Not he's so quiet, you probably didn't even like, is he still alive? Like he is so quiet. Everybody knows about
You updating the feed.
if anybody knows about Jay-Z, Jay-Z was definitely very mainstream in the 90s. I mean, of course, even, you know, after that, but I mean, his rap music was very vulgar and talking about all types of stuff. He had all types of videos. I've seen all types of videos and the women and, you know, Lil Warren this.
Okay.
I'm just saying, you don't hear from Beyonce. You don't hear them like, oh yeah, we was at a Diddy party, whatever, whatever. I do have a question for the people that are listening, and in the future, how you guys are feeling about Miss Jaguar and just different people who are saying, yeah, I know, I've been telling y'all about these sex parties and the 15-year-old girls and the this and this. I mean, do you think it's sensationalism? Do you think it's her just trying to build up her page or other people? Because it seems now that everybody's been abused. Everybody has a story about what's going on. They all seen something, but you know, I was told to swear to secrecy, never tell. Like, are you believing, or this is just more adding fuel to the fire, just to kind of truly cancel everybody?
Oh, that one's a toughie, right? Because it's a long since known stereotype that 1 in 3 women are going to be sexually abused, assaulted, or raped in their lifetime. And I don't remember the percentage of it, but most of it happens before they're even 21. For the women that are going to be abused, it's not usually a lot of like 40-year-old women. You know what I mean? And so, unfortunately, the statistics skew towards being somebody underage, a minor, and then it picks up again. It ticks up again when you become geriatric. Those are the other women that'll be sexually abused and sexually assaulted. So when you're at your weakest, or when you're at your ability to least defend yourself, is when you're the most prone to being attacked. So are you asking if I believe that these women have been in this situation? I think a lot of women have been, and I think that 1 in 3 are the 1 in 3 that are discussing it, because people that go through things don't always talk about it, or it takes them a while to talk about it. So yes, to some extent, right? But then also we live in a society that is designed to cater to narcissistic people. And if it gets you some attention, if it gets people talking about you or listening to you, then yes, you're going to jump on the bandwagon. And that goes for victims and non-victims alike, because victims can become narcissists too, right? And I'm not taking away their ability to be victims. I'm just saying that there's...
Explain.
So you might have somebody that went through a trauma, that, you know, that genuinely experienced something, and so on and so forth, right? And I'm oversimplifying and just being just oversimplistic about it. So bear with me. I don't mean to sound ignorant at all, right? But you'll have somebody that's going through it, and you know they're getting the work done. They're they're going to therapy. They've been to therapy. They're so much better, and you know now they want a thing, right? I want you to give me something ridiculous. I want $10,000 or whatever it is, right? And you'll tell them no, and they're like, after everything I've been through.
Okay.
At that point, they're using
their
the fact that they're a victim to get their way, and that's kind of...
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, there's something twisted about that, right? Because are they still a victim? Yes, they're still a victim. They've still gone through that. They've still experienced it, but they figured out how to manipulate it and use it and
maybe they seen that because let's just say they something traumatic happened to them.
mhm,
Everybody's rushing to them. They have all types of attention. Oh my God, all
yes,
eyes on you. And then now everything's
yeah.
calmed down. It's like, wait.
Wait,
What about me?
don't forget, me. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Okay.
there's something a little bit kind of weird about that. And I don't know the science behind it. And I'm not saying that we should, cast it aside, but I think going on with what you were just speaking about is that, you know what I mean? And so something happened to them 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They've since moved on. They've lived their lives. They've gotten married. They've had kids, whatever it is. And an opportunity comes up now that, and all of a sudden they remember their whole story, and it's, oh, I have a story to tell too, look at me. And it's like, I'm not taking away the fact that you're a victim, but I do think that sometimes you're turning it around and trying to manipulate the
I
situation to get more attention.
I feel, and I know that's going to be a show that we're going to do, and just you give a heads up, guys. I want to be able to bring in the younger generation.
Mhm.
Younger people, young adults, and the reason why I want them here and to speak with us when we have that conversation is because I don't think we really truly understand each other. And I'm not talking about if I was the mom and that person's the child. I'm talking about as a culture. I
Mhm.
think that young adults look at our culture, the millennials or the Gen X, or is it Gen Z? Are they Gen Z? No, Gen X is
That's a
which
little
one?
before. I
What's
think
the
the
one before us? Unfortunately, we're millennials. I'm sorry, guys, but we. Hmm.
I don't know if I mean that whole millennial thing. We have to get
I
it
don't.
all a
I
totally
don't want to
different
be a
thing.
millennial. I wanted to be the other one. It was a Gen. It was a Gen. It's Gen Z, Generation Z, or Generation X. I think it's Generation
Yep.
X. The Pepsi
Because
one.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think I'm right on the cusp of Gen X.
I'm a cuss. But anywho,
Yeah.
with that being said, I think that those generations, we just were brought up differently, and things were acceptable. I mean, I was talking to some young kids and letting them know that unfortunately when where I grew up, no young girl, let's just say she was 14 or 15. I've never seen any 14 or 15-year-olds talk to other 14 and 15-year-olds. The girls were talking to 21, 22-year olds.
Grown men. Yeah.
I would never ever in a million years try to be talking to somebody that was younger than me, not my age. I was trying to talk to older guys. Older guys would pick you up from school. They had the car. The reason why you're going to them because they're so mature, right? They could pick you up after school. They could take you to the mall. They're doing it now. Mind you,
There's
this
no
is the
guilt to it.
grooming.
Yeah.
Mind you, it's toxic. It's toxic, but
Hmm.
this is like the culture, and no one's saying, "Hey, the only way I would ever hear statutory rape or something like that is if the parent didn't like the guy for whatever reason. Oh, that
It
Negro
was a weapon. You're right.
then
Yes.
she would throw it in your face like you better not. But I remember talking to so many different guys that were just so much. I remember, I wouldn't be home for weeks.
Mhm.
I'm just out. Like where am I as a teen? Like I mean, we just live different cultures and different lives. I've
She's
seen
running around acting like Dora, Kia.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's crazy because now we wouldn't. The things that
Mhm.
were acceptable then are not. When we think about the lyrics, when you think about, Tupac is a great lyricist, a great poet.
Mhm.
He has a Nobel Peace Prize. It's a Nobel Peace Prize. I know he was recognized by something. I gotta. I should look that up. But he's been recognized and give all types of scholarly awards for being so articulate in his poetry. But have you heard some of his lyrics?
Didn't Kanye win like a gospel award?
But these people, take Jay Z. As much as
Mm.
some people hate Jay Z, Jay Z doesn't write down any of his lyrics. Everything is in his head. Like wow, for all those songs, for all those things that you do, every single thing is in your head. He never writes any of his stuff down. It's crazy how these artists are just magnificent in what they do. Um, what's Rick James? You know, a great artist. He was charged for abusing a woman. I mean, we could go on and on about
I know you
people
mentioned Elvis in the past.
yes,
Hmm.
so many people that we know have been charged. Are we going to just cancel all of them?
Well, like I said, I mean, and if you were charged and you got the help and you put in the work and you've done your apology tour and you never do it again, okay. I mean, For the most part, okay. I mean, if you beat a woman's eye out of a socket, maybe not, but like, for
When do
yeah,
you when do you think as a community we'll be able to heal? Because we have such a split. Because yes, we did live wild lives, right? And there's videos and all types of stuff. I remember there's a group of people who want to cancel Eminem because of the things that he used to say. You know, how do we build that? How do we accept that yes, we live different cultures, but now we're doing something differently, and now we're, on this whole, spread love tour.
I have a sad answer for that. I don't think we're ready yet. I don't think that that's where we are. And I'll say that because what's always mystified me, always, always been just confusing to me. Growing up again in the 90s in New York, we've seen our share of crackheads, right? We've seen what those types of drugs have done to our neighborhoods and how they decimated, the hoods and everything else, right? And then you do have your Jay-Z's and your 50 Cents and your everybody else that came up glorifying being drug dealers and peddling the poison into the veins of their friends' mothers. You know what I mean? And writing songs about it and becoming millionaires that way. You know what I mean? And we love that music. We dance to that music. We support that. We buy that all day. How is that so much better than some of the other things that we're knocking right now? You know what I mean? So providing that stuff to the veins of your people in your own neighborhood is not as bad as beating your girlfriend's ass. Like, I don't know, I don't understand, right? Like, how many lives do you think that they were literally responsible for? And we're out here, we've always supported them, and now we've gone past that. The music has evolved, you're right, things have changed. Now they don't talk about selling it, now they talk about using it. The people we're supporting now are the crackheads.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Is so we used to get off on rocking to the people that take advantage of the stupid weak people that would buy the drugs from them, because that's in effect what they were saying, right? And now we're supporting the stupid weak people that are drug addicts. And even when they make music saying that they need help, those aren't even the songs that make the hits, right? It's more the Demi Lovato put out a song, "Somebody Help Me." Right? She was like literally crying through this music, and that was not her biggest hit. Nobody wanted to hear that.
Promiscuous was her biggest hit.
That's her biggest hit. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think that we're ready. I think we like that whole sex sells. We want to be high and feeling good, and we don't mind the people that are selling the drugs. And I think that as a culture, we're not ready to move past that. I think that that's kind of like we're enjoying the moment, if you would. I mean, and I'm not encouraging it. I'm saying like we should start questioning ourselves and questioning. I've since back in the day, I've always wondered, right? And I'm as guilty as the next person.
Yeah.
So please don't think I'm pointing a finger. I watch BMF, I watch Ghost, I watch. It's the same thing over and over and over. You know what I mean? And now it's not the music, now it's the TV shows. But what are we watching? What is BMF about? The glorification of these drug dealers and the decimation of the neighborhood. Snowfall was a great show. I love the show, but there was so much to learn in that show, and we missed it. And we missed it over and over and over because it's fun. And so I don't think we're ready to heal. I think we're still somehow having this warped version of fun.
It Unfortunately, I hear you, and I think to myself, like it's sad. I feel that we are. It's interesting. I know I talked about in the beginning of the show, talking the specs. It's going to get worse. I think that you guys need to. I don't know how much you love your music and you love your movies and whatever that is. Maybe you know how you was younger, you had your poster or whatever, or the Beehive, or whoever you are idolizing. But I think that when these names come out, and you're hearing more and more, because yes, these are people, and
Mhm.
they are not perfect, and they're going to do things, and but I think when you hear the details, the heinous details of what's going on, is going to be, I think it's going to make people, I guess, even choose a side. We're already divided, I guess, as a culture, and we're going to be more divided because, Beyonce and Jay Z, even though Jay Z's not per se on social media responding to his tweets, they've lost a lot of followers because of this. Just because there's so many pictures with them partying together and stuff. and it's just like, oh yeah, and we know they were saying that something about J. Cole and his song She Knows has something to do with Beyonce. It's like all these conspiracy theories. I mean, if you go on TikTok, it's a constant algorithm about rappers and singers and their conspiracies and how it's all devil worshiping. And I mean, you name it, it's there. But I really feel like this, when we're in September, no, we're in October, November, December, like these 3 months are going to be crazy. They're going to be crazy in reference to celebrities, in reference to politics.
I mean, you got to think about Epstein.
Well, he killed himself.
Yeah, that's what yeah, he killed
That's what
himself.
they're saying.
Yes, that's it. He killed himself. Yeah, we got a
Do you
couple
think that
comments,
might
right?
happen? Do you think that might happen with Diddy, where something may what happened to him? Because if he has these lists, do you think something may happen?
I mean, who knows? But if it does, it does. Who's gonna miss him? I'm sorry. Did I say that? Can I take that back? I can't take it back. No, I'm sorry.
You could be unfiltered.
All right. So let's see. So Z did ask a really good question a bit ago. He said, "Question: How do you square supporting the art but not the artist when consuming the artist, still supporting the artist? Every time we consume their art, they are getting paid."
Let me reread this real quick. Let me get into that real quick.
Uh
How
huh.
do you square supporting the artist but not the artist when consuming the art is still supporting the artist? Every time we consume their art, they are getting paid.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I'll say this.
Okay.
I'm gonna take that statement and then ask you a question. I'm gonna answer a question with a question. No, no, seriously. If
Okay.
you did your research, Z, and you found out that the average product that you have in your house, like Procter and Gamble and this, helped contribute to apartheid, to some type of building of jails and
Hmm.
incarceration, mass incarceration. Like if you found that the product that you would just normally just like, oh yeah, let me put my headphones in or whatever you got going on. If
Mm-hmm.
those products that you use every single day of the car that you
Mm-hmm.
were driving were all a part of this big bullshit ass scheme
Mm.
to subject your people
What
to,
would there be left for you to spend your money on?
what would you stop using those products, or would you be a person that say, you know what, I cannot believe Procter and Gamble run most of the products in your bathroom, just to put that out there. They just don't call it the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
the Mars company,
Mm-hmm.
these people run most, they just change the names that you see. Would you use those products? I feel like certain music can put you in certain moods.
Hmm.
It can make you happy and sad and reminiscent of
Mm-hmm.
different times. So for me personally, I would answer that question. If I am playing a song, it's because I am trying to be reminiscent or remember or be put in that euphoric feeling of when that time was.
Mm-hmm.
That is the reason why. So no, let's just use R. Kelly as an example. If I happen to listen to an R. Kelly song that's being played, I don't play it on rewind. It's not a thing that's on my regular playlist. But
Mm-hmm.
whenever that blue moon is, it's
Mm-hmm.
because I'm trying to put my mind back into like, man, oh man, I remember that thing. Oh, slow dance, or whatever that is, right? But
Yes.
that's the only reason why. And then it's short lived, and then I'm on to the next thing. But I was wondering, would you continue to use those products if you knew, who those people were really?
I mean, no, absolutely, right? Because even taking it a step further, I know right now, and it's weird that Beyonce's name has come up so many times tonight, but like she has that one song, Levi Jeans.
Hmm.
And if based on just what you were just saying, right? I mean, jeans are an American product made from American cotton. That the history of American cotton is very kind of interesting, if you know what I mean. But I mean, who hasn't had Levi jeans or Jordache back in the day or whatever it is? And so, yeah, you're right. Every single thing that we do, every single thing that we could possibly consume. I mean, every
Well,
food
not
thing
even that. Think about
at
you
the
guys.
grocery
Think.
store is on the backs of somebody that's being taken
Sorry to
advantage
cut you off real quick.
of. Hmm.
The banking system. the history of the banking system, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they have some terrible ways that they start and where they got their money from, and their institution. So I
Mhm.
mean, once you do your research and find out, oh my God, what happened? They did what, and what's going on? Where'd you pull your money out? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I cannot be associated.
So this goes back to when you're talking about like the victims can kind of become a part of the problem sometimes, right? So as he said, I think Liz is trying to say victims can be both victimized and manipulate others,
That's facts.
right? As he was trying to help us out with this whole generation thing. So the current generation, he's saying, is Gen Z.
Oh my
Actually,
God,
the
that
generation that's in school now, they call themselves Gen Alpha. So that's the next one
Gen
after that.
Alpha is the little kids.
They're in school right now.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so we
Hopefully they'll make it
millennials
better.
would technically be Generation Y. The generation after is Gen X.
So I'm on the cusp. I was trying to get to the other generation. I was trying to scrape and scrub, but they put me into a millennial. I was like, because I'm born in 81. So the cutoff I think was 80. No, the cutoff is 79, I think. 79,
I'm gonna challenge
1979.
that. I've read something different, but I think that
But
we
no,
are.
I mean I'm still right there. I'm older
Yeah.
than you, Liz. So I don't know. Try to grab on to no.
I've read otherwise. We're going to do some research. We're going to get back to that. Alex just said that I took us to church on a Friday night. I'm so what? Can we block him or something? He's been on one tonight. Z said we have a very toxic parasocial relationship with artists and actors. And then he went on to say, Takia, music is a language of the soul. And I understand what you're getting at. And I personally have a hard time squaring it for myself.
Yeah, it's interesting. The more you start digging, audience, the more, and I challenge you all, the more you start digging into everything
Mhm,
that you consume. And consuming is not just,
mhm,
eating, it's listening, it's
mhm,
spirituality, it's every, I mean, literally everything, all your senses working, even your
mhm.
subconscious, everything that you consume in your being. If you started doing the research and pulling back those layers, you are ending up saying like, wait a second, this shit is all bullshit. Wait a
It's
second,
terrible.
you're
Right?
foul as hell. You're ratchet as a dog. You're this. What is? I mean, not even that. Not even that. I mean, and not to even. We are going to have conversations, guys, about religion. That's been a big topic to talk about, and spirituality per se. But when you start pulling back certain holy books, you're like,
Hmm.
wait a second here. It says here. I mean, like if you was to listen to some parts of the Bible, it says that when your woman is on her menstrual, she should be outside.
Well, funny that you kind of went there because
Don't
just
agree?
thinking, yeah, even with the music, if you say, well, you know what, that's why I don't listen to secular music. I only listen to gospel music, and by no stretch of the imagination, I will never take a dig at the church, but there are certain people that they have been the same church has been horribly abusive to a lot of different types of people, a lot of women, a lot of gay people. They got their conversion therapy. They get caught up in some of the worst affairs. The people that you're singing along to, listening to your good music because you don't do secular, are some of the people that
Well, I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop you for 1 second since we got some more minutes to spare.
Hmm.
If you did your I just said if we did our research, a lot of the producers that
Hmm.
make the music for the Christian music are the same
The
secular
same
art.
people. The same
So if
people.
you're saying, and
Yes.
here's the thing though, so let's just say you're like, I don't do that secular music. I don't do that ungodly, unholy spirit. I need the right spirit in this house. But
Yeah.
little did you know
Yep.
that the wrong spirit was
Same
on that.
spirit.
And
The
you
same
wonder why the
spirit with a
lust
different
demon is
face and a
all up
different
in that
skin.
house.
Hmm.
You over here trying to get to sleep, and then you got the pastor doing something now. Oh, child, don't talk about it.
I mean, and okay, fine. So I'm not going to listen to anything on the radio. The hymnal is littered with songs from slavery.
Oh, you went there.
The
See,
hymns that you love the most. So yeah, and I have to agree with Cash. He said, "Great answer, Kia. That really put things in perspective." I second that emotion. So Toya said, "I still struggle with Cliff Huxtable, Black American's dad from Bill Cosby."
you know what's
So I
interesting?
like Cliff. Cliff is cool.
I'm sorry, y'all. I got a blanket because I'm cold. But But I'll tell you this, it's I think that we have to be able to honor our values, what it means to you and your family, stand on 10 toes.
Mm-hmm.
Because what bothers me is when you kind of like back and forth with it, you know what I'm saying? So you like, no, you may be on public on the podium, you don't do it, but then on the on the back end, you over there doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you stand on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And educate yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
if someone says, you don't have to explain why you're choosing to do this, but no, just stand on your values and what that means to you. I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to the Huxtables, there's a cast that also works with, Bill Cosby. And I know that that show complements each other. So it's not this one character that I'm looking at. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at everybody. I looked at the show when I was coming up as an ideal family that portrayed, they were educated, they had integrity, they had this, and they were acting. Uh, we all know that each one of them has a story to tell, that we may or may not, support. At this current day, I think Raven Simone, who played Olivia, she is a full blown married to a woman. And what happens if you didn't support gay rights and those things? You're like, well, you know what? Are you going to stop watching that show because of, her sexuality preference? If that was your value, stand on it, represent it. But for me, I do know that they are acting, and I'm able to um, separate that from the actual person. I'm able to separate that.
So Z said, I think there's a difference between a business who we all expect to be soulless entities and a person who you can point to and say, hey, she did this horrible thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Cliff is loosely based on Bill's comedy and life. Just going back to Z's point right before that, it's so interesting because the business. So when you look at the R. Kellys and the Puffies and the horrible people, the businesses that back them, that help them become who they are just as liable. There's no, it's not like they didn't know. That's literally impossible. They knew. And even if you cancel Puffy, the entertainment sector is going to go on. The companies that back him will go on. Ciroc will just change their label and go on, right? But they're kind of the root, right? You know that whole money is the root of all evil. Follow the money. Where did these people come from? How did they become so emboldened? How did they get away with this for so long? Who was silencing all these victims? Because believe me when I tell you, they weren't out there silencing them themselves, right? And we see it in other industries too. How many football players do you have that beat the fuck out of their
Oh,
girlfriends?
you're right. You're right.
The industry comes to protect them and pays them to be quiet and silence them and everything else or whatever the case is, sends the girlfriend shopping for retail therapy so the mans can get back on their field. And it's not just football. I just happen to pick that one, but it happens over and over. It's not just the boyfriend that did the beating. At that point, it's the industry that supported the boyfriend that did the beating and covered it up. So we can't not support that one person and still go to the game on Sunday. It doesn't make sense. Like
You
it,
know
it
what's interesting, but and you make a good point. So let's just say, because you have plenty of football players who have been caught on camera and different things, beating the
Mhm,
brakes off of these women, and there's no justification for it, right? And
mhm,
with that being said, the PR rep comes in and they do whatever they're doing.
mhm.
But like you said, on Sunday we're tuning right in. And
Right
it's
on.
interesting because us as a culture, us as a people, if we
Mhm,
truly say, enough is enough, we are
mhm,
shutting this shit down.
mhm.
If we did not watch that TV show, the whatever that playoff is or whatever, the industry would get it like, oh, stuff, they messing with our money. We're going to take a serious stance because we do have the power to change stuff when we're in masses.
Mhm,
When we really, really want to shut shit down, we have proven time after time that we can. Like, oh no,
mhm,
this is enough. When George Floyd was brutally killed by the police officers,
mhm,
and everybody took to the streets. I mean, because this is just outrageous. 9 minutes, this man just sat there, gasping for air and died
mhm.
everywhere. It was like a nationwide thing,
International.
international.
Mhm.
There was slight change, but there was still change that was done when
Change.
it comes to stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
we could be the ones that say, you know what, we're not. We're shutting down the record labels and this,
Mm-hmm.
that, and the third. So yeah, here's some comments coming in.
Yep. So Lasitoya said, "That's my stance, Liz. Why aren't we bringing those old to the forefront? Who was denying their claims and silencing their voices? Expose that culture,
You know
right?
what? But that culture don't look like our shade, so it's gonna be a little bit
Because
harder.
they'll hang the darker ones out to dry. No one's touching them. That's just how it works. And you know what? Even when your orange spray tans just are on video or outright just saying what they want to say, they get more support. Isn't that strange? They get
Well,
more.
it's funny you said that. There's some women that had shirts that say, "You can grab me by the pussy."
They get more support. I will say his wife came out against him this week. Did you see that in
I
the
did see that.
Okay, sorry, no, sorry, I digress. I digress. Oh no, I'm back. Allison said, absolutely. It's been said that Jimmy Iovine was sitting right at the table when Diddy was punching Cassie. At the end of the day, they'll overlook those incidents for their profits.
Yeah, it's a sad, Alistair. It's a sad world that we live in.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we have to do something about it if we want true change. I
Hmm.
do believe that the generations, after us are going to be those change makers. Like we're not doing this toxic shit no more. Like whatever y'all was into, stop and cease now.
And and that's why I said I don't know that we're the ones that are going to bring about this change. I think we've been embracing some of the toxicity for way too long. I kind of think we still do. Like I said, look at what's one of the biggest shows on cable TV, and think about what that actually says about us as a culture, and think about who's tuning in. It's not like they're tuning in; we're tuning in.
You
So
know
why
what's funny?
be
One of
entertained by our destruction?
Before we get to the last two comments to wrap up the show, one of my favorite shows of all times for sitcoms, and it's Married with Children. Married with Children
Hey,
is the most misogynistic, sexist.
disgusting, but
Yes,
hilarious. Yes.
but once again, that goes into when we talk about comedians and stuff. And oh, do
Hmm.
you like this comedian over this one? Whatever, whatever.
Hmm.
And it's like, who's watching it? We are. But
We are.
but once again, I tell people how I was raised
Hmm. Hmm.
was the baby our parents were the baby boomer generations, which is the Donald Trump generation. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they are wild with it. They have no filter on their mouth. They will call it like it is. If you too black, you too black. If you too fat, you too fat. And I don't give a fuck. I mean, there
True
is no word,
story.
there is no
True.
uncensored. When I try to say, hey, that you can't say, what you telling me I can't say?
Hmm.
So there, yeah. So we like, yeah, you made a good point. I don't think it's gonna be us. I think it's you guys. The younger youth is gonna change.
But you know what? I'm going to claim it too because these little soft babies that we're raising that are oversensitive that are not going to put up with them, we raised them. So, this is
But
the one
I'm not
time,
even
the
talking
one
about
time I'm going to
them.
claim
They're
that.
going to bring it to the light, like, hey, this other stuff. But I think
This
it's the
is not
alpha generation. I
okay.
think it's the baby, the alpha generation.
That alpha, yes.
I think
Well,
it's
that's,
the
I
alpha
was talking to the
generation
alphas,
because
not the not the not the millennials.
they're
No.
not the little soft babies, but they still don't play that shit.
Right, right. They got the highest standards though.
Yes, they do.
So Allison said, look how much they overlook for Trump as long as he's beneficial to the GOP. But wait till this election is over with the laughing emojis. I cannot with Alistair tonight.
Well, with that, guys, thank you once again for
Yeah.
turning in. Before I give the last words to Liz, I just want to make sure that you guys do understand that our culture, um, especially with, oh, wait, we got one comment that came in. I don't want to miss that.
Mhm. And so, hi Candace. So these people didn't act alone. The people that assisted in the fuckery need to be held accountable as well.
Facts,
100%.
facts. I just
Yes.
want to say that, and when it comes to when the civil rights movement um, came through and we started doing more and more shows and putting black cinema, black music, black culture, there were some great artists that never had any type of degeneracy or anything, but there was a change, there was a shift. And
Mm-hmm.
when that shift took place and they started idolizing uh, buffoonery in art,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
immoral, dishonest, incompetency, inferior attributes in our entertainment, that sold. and it kind of started shaping what people started listening to. And if you threw a good beat behind it, or if it was something, okay, this is catchy. And even though we came to our senses and we're like, something ain't right or whatever the case may be, there has to be a shift. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been telling a lot of my friends and people that I know that what I feel is coming up, when it comes to exposure, it's going to be exposure of everything. Everything is about to be exposed very, very soon. And
Mm-hmm.
even if we're trying to hide behind the blanket and, oh, you don't see me, the shit's going to come to the fan. It's going to come out. So
Right.
even though, unfortunately, and I feel so sorry for the victims who have suffered, for the people who have lied and did not get hurt, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody's going to get exposed to who what's really going on,
Mm-hmm.
because the universe is just changing, and the universe is not playing any games, and everybody's shit's gonna come to light. And you're either going to be changing with the goodness, and changing and evolving and doing what you need to do, or you're going to be falling to the wayside as well. And we're just going to see a lot of exposure. So yeah, thank you, Z, for saying that the show, it was a good show. I do believe so. I
Yes.
do want to, like I said, in the future, real soon, because we're going to be pumping out content, because the headlines are going to keep pumping and pumping. So it's going to be a whirlwind of conversations.
Yes.
But I want to have the last words with Liz, if I may.
All right. Well, first and foremost, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Um, we did have one last comment that came in, and you
Oh,
said it's funny that you say that. It was said that the reason why John Amos, that's the reason why John Amos left Good Times. So
mm,
yeah, great. But thank you guys for tuning in on short notice. That's like super cool. It was a fun show. It was a great show. It's always nice to have conversation with like-minded people with like histories and like interest in these different, I call them more elevated discussions. So please like and subscribe, share it with a friend, and tune in again real soon. Have a great, safe weekend. Love you guys.
yes, yes, yes. Oh, wait. And since we're on like the TV, platform, happy birthday to you, Alistair. Stop getting so old, Mr. Alistair.
You know.